What's up, guys? Welcome to the Real Estate Virgins podcast, where we're here to add as much value as possible to agents in all walks of life, whether you're beginning or you're been doing it for a long time. We're just here to share what we've learned, the lessons that we're continuing to learn, and all the cool things that are going on in our lives, and to hopefully help you as an agent. So what's up, Jordan?
What's going on, everybody? It's been a little bit. We didn't get to do one last week. Unfortunately, it was just didn't work out with the scheduling, but we're back, ready to provide some value, as you said, and it's good to be back. Good to see you again. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. Market's being a little funky, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's a little strange. I don't know about everywhere else, but I know, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but Austin's kind of its own unique market. Like, it's not doing what the national trends are and things like that. So we're excited to kind of get in with that.
So episode 22, last episode was episode 21, and I saw this really cool stat that said that if you have hit episode 21, then you're in like the top percentage of volume for podcasts. So,
or like the consistency behind it. So that's awesome. As long as people are listening and there's value to be had, then we don't plan on going anywhere. So you're stuck with us.
Yes, I agree. So, but before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to Amber T. She reached out to us on Instagram and said, "Hey, I found your podcast on Spotify and it's been absolutely amazing. And I realized you guys are actually located in Austin. Thanks for providing such value. And it's made a big impact on me." And we just want to say,
shout out Amber. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
It's always good to, it reaffirms that what we're doing is hopefully providing value to agents. Like, you don't always get that immediate feedback, just like with real estate or anything else in life. You don't always get that feel good, response or anything like that. And when we get it, it feels good, man. Let us know if you're finding value in this stuff. Like, we want to hear that stuff too.
I know. I messaged her back and I was like, "You just made my day." Seriously. She did.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the other part of this is, like, we don't do this because we like to hear ourselves talk. We don't do this because we're getting paid to. We do this because we were agents once before and we know the suck behind being a first-time agent. We know not having a guidebook on what to do, different ideas. You get stuck when it's just you or it's just your team or whoever that you're listening to ideas from. That's what we're here for. We're just talking ideas. We want to see everybody succeed. And
I feel like a lot of agents have been reaching out to us lately and just asking us random questions, and we're here for it. Like, we love helping out agents, and it's just so cool that we can be that source of knowledge. And we're still learning too. We don't know everything, but we have been there, like Jordan just said, and we want to be those agents that will willingly give as much as we can.
Yeah, and it's not like we have every answer, but we have a few of them. It almost seems like every transaction is, as much as it is similar, they're all very different. And as we learn things and we keep going through transactions and there's different things and scenarios we go through, either it falls apart or we save it, you're going to hear those stories because hopefully it helps you in something that you're doing.
I agree. So, Jordan, what's going on in your life?
I'm exhausted. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if it's something to do with this weather, but I just went to Dallas this weekend. We went to a Dallas Stars playoff game. First playoff game I've ever been to. It was electric. Absolutely on just buzzing atmosphere. Incredible game. Game of the night for sure. There were huge hits. There was drama and everything. And, I mean, we were up so late. I feel like the guy I was rooming with just snores so bad. I can't say anything. I snore too. I don't know how my wife puts up with it, but man, when it's happening to you, it sucks. I could not fall asleep. I had the pillow over my head. So I feel like over the last 3 nights, I've probably gotten like 6 hours of sleep total. Jeez, so I'm running on fumes right now.
That's awesome.
But it was super cool. We lost the game. It went to double overtime. Just incredible game, man. It's the best time of the year is playoff hockey. So
yeah,
I'm all for it right now. What about you, man? What you got going on?
Just trying to up my knowledge game when it comes to real estate. Took an investment course recently.
This guy, I'm asking him about his personal life. He's like,
personal life. Sorry.
All business, 24/7.
Sorry. Personal life, playing a lot of basketball.
John, what do you do for fun? I do real estate.
I do real estate.
Real estate.
No, I hurt my pinky toe playing basketball last night. I love playing basketball. That's a big thing for me. I told my wife to not let me go play poker because I play too much poker. And
You've been on a tear lately,
I've
man.
been killing it.
Yeah, it's. Is it really like an addiction though? If it's like feeding your income, you know what I mean?
I know. Like we're going out to eat, and I'm just paying for the food with poker money. I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah, I was joking that John's actually a professional poker player with a part-time real estate license. He's been playing so much lately.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, you know what's funny is you've actually got it a lot more under control than like that 2015 when we lived together. When I first moved to Austin.
Oh, it was bad.
You remember that? We were in the townhouse together, and you'd be out to like 4 a.m. and you'd come back at like 6 a.m. I'm leaving for work. You're coming home from poker.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a time for sure.
Simpler times.
But I mean, the thing is like I can now be way more aware when things start becoming too much of a distraction. And so like, I'll make 3, 4, 5, maybe $1,000 in one night. But like, am I missing out on potential transactions that are 10, 15, 20 grand? You know?
Yeah, I hear you.
So,
do you feel this, like just kind of off the top, do you feel like playing poker helps you read clients or like read a listing agent, anything like that? Because you're always reading people in poker. The point is like you're trying to look for things that are like a tell on people, like what kind of hand they have. Do you think that that's helped with your analysis of a situation whenever you're talking with a realtor?
That's a good question. Really good question. As of recently, I've been more aware of variances. That's a big word, of possibilities. So you could relate that to real estate as in like, what are the 3 things or 5 things that could happen, right? And then basing my decisions to hopefully make a better result, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's interesting because poker is a one-person game, and so there's a lot of reading going on. There's a lot of you looking for clues or giveaways or this or that. And I can almost see it from the standpoint of real estate that you're almost in a poker match with another person, except there's this common middle ground that you can find, and that's kind of what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. It's not so much like I'm going to be a dick and cut under my asking price by $50,000. It's like I'm doing that so that you call my bluff and you come in a little bit, mm-hmm. and we find this like middle ground that works for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like it's just a weird game of how it all relates together.
And should I bet a little more or should I bet a little less?
Yeah.
And should I go all in?
Yeah.
Or, what does this person have?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking in poker all the time. So,
yeah. How's business going?
Business is going really good. I'm shifting my focus right now. I've just been helping a lot of agents like we've talked about. We got a new member on the team, Derek. Shout out, Derek.
Yo, Derek. You had a closing today.
I know.
My boy.
I know.
It's awesome.
And then got a new house almost under contract, basically, and listing, couple of closings. Trying to at least have 5 closings for May, at least.
At least this fucking guy.
Something like that.
Yeah,
So,
it was cool. So when I was in Dallas, I got one.
What about you?
When I was in Dallas, I got one under contract. That was super cool for a guy that I've been like kind of talking to over the last few months. He's been pre-approved for a little bit, but like not wanting to go look at homes. And it just so happened that we got lightning in a bottle. We made it one trip out to the city, viewed a few homes, and we found a really great house for him. Was able to negotiate over $22,000 of stuff for him between the off of asking price and then some seller concessions. And that's the thing, man. We're going to talk about how buyers are just having a great time right now.
Yeah.
But it was cool. So like, what's funny is the guys I was with, the dudes I was with in Dallas, we got back from the game. First of all, went to double overtime. The game started at 8:50 at night. Double overtime. We were there at 1 a.m. like at the stadium, still watching the game. Yeah, terrible. There's a whole controversy behind it. How they're like screwing certain teams by like starting them really late. But anyway, We get back to the hotel room and they're like nice and drunk. They've had, some beers at the arena. Now I'm like sober as heck. And I'm like, I got to get this offer in. And so I start working. They're like, are you working right now? I'm like, always, man. Like, that's the cool
ABC.
That's one of the cool things about real estate. I love that I can go out to a game and still get an offer in. And like, once I got the documents in, it just all worked out that way. Got it in. Want to make sure I got it in a timely manner for that agent. We got it accepted that morning.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I don't give a crap what time it is. I'll work for a paycheck. Like if I think it's a strong possibility, I'm going to put my best foot forward for it.
This agent asked me yesterday, and I'm going to ask you the same question. At what point in your career did you feel like you made the right decision in being a real estate agent?
So it's kind of like asking, when did you feel like validated in your decision? Like when did you feel like maybe it was a viable career or that you made the right choice? That's a good question. For me, it's a two-part answer. There was from my clients and then from my outside reputation. When I got my first client that was like, wow, like you took care of us. And that wasn't my first sale. That came at a later time. My first sale was a new build that I didn't have to do almost anything on. I didn't know really what I could provide for them. But I still, we still got it done. We still scheduled inspections, all that. But I didn't really have that wow factor yet. And so when I got my first client who said, Jordan, you freaking killed it for us. Thank you. Like you did incredible. That took away that took away a lot of my doubts in myself and in my abilities. And it just kind of reaffirmed that I was doing good for my clients and that it was perceived as me doing good and wasn't just, okay, he did his job. It's, you did a great job. That was so impactful for me.
I love that so much. That's so cool.
And then secondly, like from a reputation standpoint, you and I have talked in previous episodes about power of Facebook groups and how we're not like the people that are going to cold call. We don't, push agendas or we don't, intrude people's personal spaces. So I've been a way that I get around that while still being a good resource is the Facebook group for my community. And so within that Facebook group, I always answer people's questions when they're looking for vendors. I don't reach out and say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. By the way, you should use this person for your flooring. It's, hey, like this person's been great for us. I hope they'd be great for you. Maybe I say, they've helped my clients recently. So it's kind of like a passive, advertisement there. And one guy said he termed me as the mayor of that Facebook group or that community.
I bet that made you feel good.
Oh yeah. Because it just, again, it reaffirmed that like this person I don't know has a perception of me that I'm helpful, I'm a resource, and that I'm not like a salesy person kind of guy, that I'm here for the betterment of this group. Yeah. And that's what it's about. So that's what it was for me. What about you? When did you feel like real estate, like you made the right decision? I'm going to be an agent. I'm going to be a great agent.
I feel like I felt validated as a real estate agent in my choice of becoming a real estate agent when I had more freedom to do what I want, when I want, and that I wasn't worried about the next month's bills being paid.
Yeah. That's big. And that's going to come at different times for people. I think that's a really important thing to decipher is you can listen to us talk about how we achieve that, but that looks completely different for you listening. Yeah. If you are listening to this and you're kind of wondering when that's going to be, I want you to think about the roadmap think about your finish line and reverse engineer what you got to do to get there.
And sometimes there isn't a finish line. For a lot of the competitive people out there, having a finish line is constantly moving. And sometimes I set up these artificial finish lines where I get there and I don't feel happy. I'm not going to lie. And so for me, it's like, how do I chase happiness instead of chasing a finish line? Because I could have 20, 30, 40 deals going on at one time, but if I'm not happy, that finish line, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and there's such a weird balance that happens with real estate. Like, for example, you and I, you've had personal conversations with me about this where I had a killer March. I sold more properties in March than I've sold in any other month through my entire real estate career. And yet in April, I didn't have anything lined up and I was freaking the hell out. Mm-hmm. And it's like, Jordan, you need to focus on the fact that you just had a great month and build on that instead of worrying about your April. But it's like, man, that's just the way our some of our minds are just like, can everything fall apart right now? Mm-hmm. You know, and you have to trust in your process. And it all, not every time, but every time that I've been worried about stuff, it works out. Mm-hmm. What happens? I get a contract this month. I'm so excited. Another one. I've got clients that are actively looking. Like, the momentum comes when you stop worrying and you just keep doing what you do.
Yeah.
Keep making content. Like the people that I'm showing houses to right now, they follow my content. If I get paralyzed by fear and don't do anything, I'm doing them a disservice.
Ooh.
And if I do them a disservice, I'm doing myself a disservice.
Oh.
And it's just such a weird thing. It's a weird balance. It's a mental gymnastics that you have to go through as a realtor. And successful realtors, like, it doesn't just go away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's about being able to focus through all the noise that's in your head about your worry and your doubt and where's my next paycheck coming from. Stop worrying about that shit. Stay the course and things will happen. And it always does.
I think there's a lot of people that talk theories and then they judge agents, or they're an agent. They're not actually getting any deals done, but they're coaching other agents how to do things. And it's really like when you're out in the actual arena doing actual work and you're in this mental warfare of, I want to be happy. I want to still do deals. I want to pay my bills. I want to make a legacy bigger than myself, bigger than a transaction. Like, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, and we're all going through it. I mean, both Jordan and I are top producers, and we're still figuring out how we can get more deals, you know? And I mean, we've got our systems, we've got our processes, but at the same time, it's not easy. I mean,
it feels like you're having to constantly reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
You have to adapt. And I think that's the big thing. You know, the big hot topic right now that we started talking about before it was hot was ChatGPT.
Oh.
And now I feel like every single realtor page, every realtor brokerage, every group is asking about it. Hey guys, what are y'all using ChatGPT for? I'm like, you're fucking late.
I know.
We've already been doing that. Like, I don't know, but it's just funny. Like, but that's such a prime example, which this new technology that comes out that's just sweeping the industry, and you're either going to adopt it or make it work for you, or you're not going to, and maybe, you know, you're stuck in these old processes. I don't know. You just have to adapt. Yeah. That's a big thing. Like, I don't implement ChatGPT. Like, it's been a while since we talked about it, so I'd love to, you know, pick your brain on it as well. I use it for the mundane task. I use it for things that are boring. I use it for like my blog posts on my website, listing descriptions, things like that, where it maybe has a spark of inspiration that I don't have. I think that's a great idea to use, but I'm going to stick by my example. I am worried that ChatGPT or all these AI, if everyone uses it, you become replaceable, or you don't stand out from anybody. You lose the heart and soul of what makes you you.
Yeah.
Because if everyone has the same kind of listing descriptions, it's no different. Like, you're trading out one thing for another. You're all cut from the same cloth.
It's almost like a template. And you're seeing all these templates and they're all very similar.
Yeah.
Just numbers are changed and names are changed.
Exactly.
And colors are changed, but it's all the same.
There's beauty behind the human element and like 100%. The human aspect of what we do.
And authenticity, like we've talked about several times before, is people want to work with authentic people, not picture perfect. And that's the thing, is like, can ChatGPT be not picture perfect? Probably. But even the energy, even the vibrations through what those words are putting on, it's a little hippie, I know, but what those words are putting on our mobile devices, it does that same energy doesn't go through. If that makes sense.
So for example, if I have ChatGPT write this crazy listing description, and then I meet the people, or I'm meeting buyers, whoever, and they don't get the same sense that like Jordan didn't write that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can sniff that out. That's it's
100%.
inauthentic. I don't know. You just have to be true to yourself. That's your brand, and don't let your brand be dictated by what technology you're using or not using.
It should be used as a tool and not as a necessity. Right?
Not a replacement.
Not a replacement, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, use it as a reference point, maybe, or like, yeah, let's put this into ChatGPT, see what it says, and then let's make our own tweaks to it. I think that's the way ChatGPT really should be used when it comes to real estate descriptions, when it comes to real estate blogs, content, as more of a reference and a tool, not a replacement.
Absolutely. Sticking with real estate, we're going to get into some other like kind of Austin area stuff and all that later. But
Dude, did you hear about the Austin serial killer?
I did. So if y'all don't know, there's this theory going on online that
And we're not too far from. We're a couple of blocks away from the water too.
yeah. If I go missing, I promise I'm not suicidal. It's
8 bodies have been found within the last year in Lady Bird Lake, right?
Yep.
If I'm not
I
mistaken.
believe it's 8. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Since like mid last year.
And so there's been so much talk about it. There's a Facebook group that started, and there's over 50,000 members that are in this group, and a lot of those guys that are in that group are like, we think the killer is in this Facebook group.
Yeah. Well, there's some interesting aspects to it because, I kind of went down the rabbit hole one night kind of researching it. People on TikTok are reporting about it. This Facebook group is taking over because there's a theory, and I don't know, like I don't want to get like sued or something. I don't think we can, but supposedly, according to these people, not to me, to these people, there's a conspiracy theory.
We're not accountants.
Yes. I'm not a detective or anything like that. I'm just reporting what other people have said. They think that someone, get how crazy this could be. They think it's someone within the police department here.
I think I heard that rumor.
Yeah, because the reasoning behind it is they're saying that there's a trend here. There's an abnormal amount of people within the last year, 8 people who have just who went missing first, turn up dead in the river, and there's like no evidence, there's no like investigation. It's just like kind of like swept under the rug, I guess. And so they're thinking, well, if someone's within APD, of course they're shutting that down. And so there wouldn't be any evidence. There wouldn't be any, like, I don't know. That it's a reach theory for me. But
the distance from all those bars, and I'm not saying the people that were found may have been intoxicated, but the distance from all those bars and like the possibility of people drinking and then being taken advantage of, it's right there.
Yeah. And I think that like it's just such a terrible happening. Like I feel for those families not having any closure, no answers.
Yeah.
And I think the part that really sucks is that Austin Police Department doesn't seem to like want to talk about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I think they've come out like with some social media posts and said we don't find that there's any links here or anything like that. But when you look at it from a really macro zoomed out point and you go, you're telling me 8 people, 8 young gentlemen, all within the same age group, I think it's 20 to 30 males, that doesn't like trigger anything for you that like this possible killer has like a type? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's to me, I would be maybe saying, hey, like we're looking into it.
Yeah.
Not, hey, there's nothing to see here. It's a little suspicious.
It's interesting.
But anyway, that Facebook group is blowing up. I mean, I remember when I first saw it, it had like maybe 18,000 people, and now it's like over 70,000 people.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I worry about that though, because it's almost like having too many chefs in the kitchen.
I hope that there's not like crazy people out there that are like, ooh, there's a killer, I want to be a part of this, and like,
yeah, like sensationalize it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, that's why people hate when the media covers, like serial killers or
mass
things that happen, like terrible events that happen across America. It's like you're giving attention to it. That's what these people are craving. That's what potential future people could be craving. It's terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. That was like
the sidebar. My bad.
That was way off topic, but I'm going to go into the next thing if that's okay.
Sure.
So A recent survey shows that 53% of millennials are still renting right now because they're waiting for home prices to come down. So, should home buyers wait until prices are lower?
Give your insights on it first, and I'll counter.
I actually wanted to go even deeper. Data shows prices are increasing in much of the country, not decreasing. And the latest data from the Home Price Expectation Survey indicates that experts project home prices will rise steadily and return to more normal levels. So, in my opinion, I feel like we've bottomed out. I mean, we're seeing it's April. This is one of the most popular times to list your house. Home buyers are coming back. I don't think prices, in my personal opinion, don't quote me on this.
That's why we're here, man.
But I think, prices have bottomed out. I don't think they'll go any lower.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
Go ahead.
So, I think there's not much more to give, but I think there's a little bit.
Okay.
Here's why. So we have this crazy influx of inventory.
Mm-hmm.
I worry that the amount of demand will not support that to keep it to where we're seeing prices go back up.
Okay.
I think on certain houses, we've talked about this. If you price your house really aggressively, you'll see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you're going to see the crazy shift from what we're seeing now to the craze of prices going over asking or over the weekend, unless something happens to interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. Another thing is that Austin's market is we talked about this kind of at the start. That's what I was alluding to. The Austin market is unlike anywhere else. Austin's market, there was an article that came out. I wish I could remember who it was from. This was a couple weeks ago. Austin's market was voted or termed or researched, whatever the hell it was. Austin is in the top 3 most overpriced markets.
I saw that, yeah.
So, okay, so you remember that article. To me, that says that whatever the national trend is, Austin's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because we still went through that crazy boom where homes were appreciating so fast. And I'll say this, I was with Derek, our newer agent that's on our team. And I want to show him how to do a CMA. I used my property as an example. Do you remember when the pandemic was going on, how much you said that you thought I could have gotten for my house, and I didn't disagree with you?
I think it was like 450 or 5.
It's like 5 to 550 at the time. Crazy.
Wow.
And I remember telling my mom that number, and she was like, "You need to sell your house." And I was like, "No, like, where am I going to go?" In hindsight, I wish I would have sold it, capped all that money, rented for a year, and then bought.
Yeah.
Hindsight. Can't get that back.
Yeah.
That same 550, less than 2 years later,
350.
around 350 to 380. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that Austin has cooled down,
mm-hmm.
but maybe has a smidge more to go. I bet we probably have a 5 to 10% drop off before things bottom out.
So that's what, 25% from the peak?
Correct. Yeah. I think 20, and I think that's actually a healthy amount. If you're considering that you have to counter the increase in interest rates with something, it has to be that the price comes down.
Yep.
That's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that a $300,000 house is like $2,900 a month, almost $3,000 a month. That's 1% of the home price, sales price.
It's wild.
Like almost, depending on how much taxes are, they could be $3,000 a month.
Everyone knows Central Texas taxes. They're up there.
Yeah, I know. But that's the thing, though. Like, as a real estate agent, would you rather be working with sellers or buyers right now?
I'd still rather work with buyers.
Mm-hmm.
I go wherever the market dictates.
I agree. The smart real estate agent looks at the market, right, and determines, where am I going to market myself, brand myself more towards, sellers or buyers?
I remember working during the pandemic with buyers. It freaking sucked.
Dude.
I was going to multiple houses in a day, working out of my car to get an offer written up just to try to get into the running because they had a deadline at 5. I'm showing the house at 3. I got to do all this stuff because Like, oh, suddenly there's a deadline of today and they've got 10 offers in right now. It was madness.
Seemed like every day, every single day, it was just like writing up an offer, calling a listing agent. Hey, is there multiple offers? Is there offers? If we bid $15K over asking price, will that get it? What about 50? You know, and then my clients are like, okay, you know, blah, blah, blah. It was like a rush. It was insane.
So if you're listening to this and if you've been, you know, a realtor since that era, I want you to think back to that. If you were newer during that time and you were working with buyers just because you had buyers, think about how bad that sucked. And then think about, wouldn't I have rather gotten listings? Wouldn't you, instead of rushing around, showing 10 houses in a day, submitting 3 offers, none of them get accepted, instead of doing that, wouldn't you have rather fielded those 10 offers for your listing? It was so much easier. Everyone was kissing up to you. Like, it was just... I was calling all my buyers like from 2017 and saying, dude, you need to put your house on the market right now and you need to sell it right now. And they're like, why? I was like, I can get you 200,000 insane numbers. Insane numbers.
And a lot of them took me up on it. I don't know how, and the hard part was like, where do we go next, you know?
Yeah.
But they rented for a year and now, you know.
I think now is that sweet spot though.
I agree.
And I hate to keep saying about other podcasts, but like it's just holding up so true. Is now is a sweet spot where sellers can still cap on the equity, you know, capture the equity that they've had, not the crazy equity they had a couple years ago or a year and a half ago. That's gone. Got to accept that. But you still have equity. If you bought over 3 years ago, you still have probably 50, 100K worth of equity in your house.
Yeah.
You can sell now. Get a house that you want because there's 10 times the options than before. Mm-hmm. And that was the big issue, is where are we going to go next?
Dude, I remember when we were if we did win an offer, which was a lot less than now, we would have to skip inspection and be like, oh, well, the freaking plumbing doesn't work. We're going to have to figure that out after we buy it.
50K over.
You know, the roof has a hole in it.
100K over.
You know what I mean?
I'll take it.
And so, like, we're just like, okay, we're just, you know, all for a 2% interest rate. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it made sense. Like, the monthly payment was so low, like, and you're paying so much less in interest. But man, that time was something else. I'll tell my grandkids about it.
Yeah, for sure. Grandpa, tell us about the great house hunting frenzy of 2020.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll never want to go back to that.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been interesting. Like I'm holding out for hope that there's interest rate reductions coming. I mean, things at least have stopped skyrocketing, so there's some consistency, there's some predictability. You know, I'm hoping that interest rates come down. I feel so bad for people that bought during the peak of the pandemic and put themselves in those situations of the hunt.
Well, I did. I'm not going to lie. I bought in the peak of the pandemic, or the peak of the market.
But you also weren't doing that you were doing it for your primary residence.
Oh,
you're doing it as somewhere that you're going to be for a long time.
Yes.
And like
my interest rate is awesome.
Yeah, like who like at that point, who cares? Like it's just kind of like the stock market. I think of people's mentality when they're buying as the Robin Hood effect. Robin Hood made it easy for people to get into buying stocks and whatever, and low interest rates made it easy for buyers to get into the real estate market. Mm-hmm. So those two kind of have those similarities there. When things were good and you were making money on stocks, everyone's like, oh, this is incredible. This is so easy. I can do this all day. And then when their stock goes low and they panic sell, that's kind of the same thing with people who, like, you bought a house because you thought you were just going to ride this appreciation forever. It's not how it works, brother. It does this. It goes up, it goes down. Things happen in the market. Things happen all over the world that affect the real estate market.
Yeah.
So you have to go in with a long-term mindset.
100%.
Investments were, you know, unless you were getting in at the beginning of the pandemic, it's hard to get in now. Like, I feel like even all these deals I see on the Investor Underground page, I just laugh at them. They're like, here's this shithole for $300,000. And you're like, brother, this is not 2020 where I'm like going to pay that for this house that needs.
I wonder what's going on with those big wholesale companies, you know, the ones that were just making bukus of money during the craziness.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from them.
Yeah, a lot less of those going on. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. That, and have you noticed that a lot of the listings, at least in the Austin area, are owned by a certain company that we'll say starts with an O.
Yeah. Oh, they're still there.
Yeah. It's crazy how many houses are out on the market right now. And a lot of my clients are looking at them, hey, why has it been on the market for 300 days, 200 days? And like,
they're playing catch up.
They are.
And they're still behind. That's the crazy part.
They didn't price it right from the beginning. And
what's crazy is that that company, I lost a listing to them, and it ended up being the best thing for that client. And it was a friend of mine. Wasn't worried about it. Was it a bummer not to be able to help them? Sure. Especially because I still could have represented them with it, but whatever. The fact that happened, and I look back on it and I'm like, these guys were making it so hard on realtors to compete because they were offering this kind of incentive and this and that for the sellers.
Well, they predicted the market to continue to go up, and it's slowed down,
Yeah. And now they're finding themselves underwater on
paying
probably every single house that's listed right now in the Austin market that is listed by that O person. It's not good.
Yeah, I know.
There's one on my street. I walk by it. I see the sign every freaking day. And I'm just like, well, it's still here.
Yeah.
Still for sale. What do you know?
Yeah. So what would we tell agents that have listings that aren't moving?
It's all about, there's one of two things that's holding you up. It's price or value. And you have to, and arguably finding the balance of those two is what's holding you back. An appropriately priced home will sell. It always does. And so what happens when you have something that's expensive, that's been sitting for a long time? What do you do to get people to get reinterested again? You drop the price. It's all you can do. It's always about the price. And if you're not looking at your competition, check your comps around you. See what houses are going under contract that aren't yours, and ask yourself why.
I've got a listing right now, and it is, I'm not going to lie. Well, we're only 25 days in, which is
right now below average days on market. So it's still new, quote unquote.
It's priced really well. We didn't necessarily want to spend, $2,000 on staging. So I got just a few photos to virtually stage it. It looks so much better because it's not empty. And we're getting 3 showings a week right now on that one particular listing. We got one offer, and it was $50K below asking. We countered in the middle, right? And then the buyer comes back and lowers their offer from
the original offer.
From the original offer.
What jerks.
And I'm like, what the heck? So then we countered at 550. Or no, I didn't say the number. 550.
Did you go up on the counter?
We went up.
Mess with them? That's funny.
But jokingly, because I knew they weren't going to. But nothing came of it. But I'm just trying, a lot of agents are asking right now, what do we do, And like you said, one of two things, I'll just repeat what you said, value or price.
And what do we mean by value? Like, we say it and we understand it, but to the person listening right now who maybe doesn't understand or this is their first time listening, what do we mean by value of the home? Like, what provides value in your listing?
Well, a lot of buyers, they don't necessarily like carpet in the living areas, right? So that's value, right? So how do should we spend the $3,000, $4,000 or $5,000 to take out the carpet and put some vinyl luxury plank, right? Or should we make the landscaping look a lot better than just a plain old Jane landscaping? I mean, those little things that may not even cost relatively too much will make the entire place look so much better.
Yeah, value is things that increase the overall perceived or the perception of your property by comparison to those in your market or your street, your neighborhood, whatever. So like if you have a pool, if house A and house B are the same exact house, but house A has a pool, that's perceived value.
Yep.
That is, you're providing something that other places don't. So you need to kind of step back and ask yourself, if you do have a house that's sitting and you think you're priced correctly or whatever, try to take your own like bias out of it.
Also, there's things that agents don't necessarily say that they probably should. Hey, the roof is only 1 year old. That's perceived value.
Yeah, new roof. Like less things for me to worry about as a buyer.
All stainless steel appliances convey, right? Some people just put leave the appliances in the picture and don't say that.
Right.
Right? And so,
or like the shed in the back, the storage shed that comes with it, the security cameras that you see. All this is perceived value that increases dang, they've got this. I don't have to worry about X, Y, and Z when I move in. Fantastic.
Exactly.
That is perceived value. And that's what we mean by that. So it's price and value.
Quarter mile away from groceries. People don't want to drive.
Location's huge. Yeah. Like the upgrades you've made throughout the house, like the age of the water heater.
These are things that Chat GPT can't put in a property description.
Exactly.
So that's perceived value or price. And we did do a little bit of a price reduction. Got a few more showings. We're going to continue to do some open houses on that one. Got a few more listings coming up.
Open houses are big right now. And it's good. I'm glad that they're back because it's getting, inviting people into the home, saying, hey, like at your convenience, come look at it on this day. Little things like that. I also notice when you're walking through with your buyers right now, would you say that you're having a more difficult time when someone lives in the property at like selling them on it? Because I'll tell you this. We went to it, the showings I went to this morning. The very first one, they were so excited about it. The pictures look great. They were like, we think this could be the one. Guess what? Looked like shit.
Oh, no.
We go in. It's complete. I mean, like sandals are like all over the place. Like just little things that the owner did that was like, this place is not taken care of. And it's tough.
Was it a renter?
No, it wasn't. Owner occupied.
Gotcha.
So, but little things like that where you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're not making your home presentable. I know you have later on about things that sellers need to be doing right now to be able to highlight that. Maybe we can transition into that. That's a big one. Make your home presentable because they were sold on it. Before we even looked, they were like, we think this is going to be the one. And we go and we look at it and they were reverse their decision based on how bad the house was presented to us.
Yeah. Presentation matters.
And it's tough. I get it. Like you may not have the next place to be. You can't vacate your home. I get it. But put your dishes up. Like I went and showed that house for one of your clients the other day. You remember that over in Orchard Ridge?
Yeah.
And we walk in and I'm like, it smells terrible in here. There's flies all around the sink. It just looked like no one gave a shit. And then they wondered, why isn't my house
people
selling?
are not giving as much of a shit as they used to be. I feel like that's a trend we're seeing lately. Just in everything.
Could be.
Just not giving a shit anymore.
People are stressed, tired of appearances, whatever. And there's like this great awakening. And it's not, when it comes to home selling, it's not going to work in your favor.
Not at all. No. Okay, so let's go back into it. If you're a seller, actually, side thought, I really want to get an This is so random.
Oh my God, is this a squirrel moment?
Yeah, like, total squirrel moment. I really want to get an iPad to do my listing presentations with. I do. And
like have all your documents and everything like pulled up so it's nice and like modern.
Yeah. I saw an agent with our brokerage yesterday and she had an iPad and she can do presentations. She can even make notes. I want to get an iPad.
Yeah, another cool thing, if you have KV Core, which is a CRM, or maybe your CRM, whatever you use, has this as well. They have an open house app, which is really cool. You connect your account to them. You pull the iPad up with the KV Core open house app, and you have people sign in their digital information there. Adds it to your CRM automatically.
That's awesome.
You have them sign in instead of filling out a manual page where they can just like cross stuff off or whatever. You have them sign in on there, and they get added to your CRM instantly. Pretty cool.
Yeah, you know what? We should give a shout out to KV Core. Out of all of the CRMs that we have used, I feel like KV Core is pretty elaborative and very, very unique and has a lot of value.
To be fair, it's the only one I've actually used.
Okay.
So I'm not going to throw a full endorsement out there. I have never used a CRM quite like I do KV Core.
So I've used Follow Up Boss. Not bad. Definitely not bad. I've used Lion's Desk. I've used KW's Command back when we were with KW.
I did use Command. I didn't like it. You're right. I did use that one.
But KV Core, one thing, I love their newsletter operations. I love, apparently, I don't know if this is out yet, but apparently they just bought a big company. If I'm not mistaken, it's Boomtown. They just bought Boomtown.
That's big.
And I don't even know if that's out yet, but they're going to start implementing Boomtown within the KV Core.
Breaking news. You heard it here first, folks. That's funny.
And don't quote me on that because I might be wrong.
Wrong website.
I know. It's something like, starts with a B. Or maybe it's...
Boomtown's a big one.
Is it Boomtown or Bomb?
I don't know.
It starts with a B. I know it starts with a
Rumor boys. Listen to us.
I know. Don't...
Fake news.
Yeah, forget you. Forget.
Actually, let's just edit this part out.
Okay,
no, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so...
Best CRM to use, the one you're going to actually use. Whatever it is, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you're going to use that one, because in the end, they all kind of have the same kind of capabilities. They offer kind of the same thing. They serve the same basic purpose. Whatever interface you're going to actually get acclimated with and utilize, use that one.
Well, what I noticed is that when you're in year 2, 3, 4, and you have this big database of past clients, you can go back into that database and reach out to them, right? Because the thing is if you've got this, 100, 200, 300 past clients, and you're like, dude, who do I talk to now? Just go back into that database.
Yeah, it's one thing I really like is you can make a reminder, or you can add a task to, hey, on this person, I closed something 6 months ago. At 6 months from now, I want to call them and ask them how everything's going. You add that as a task, it'll remind you in 6 months, so you don't have to keep up with it.
I think the mistake that I thought when I first got into real estate was CRMs, they're not going to give me business right now. I was thinking short term, right? But the power in CRMs is that they're a long-term tool, right? So you continually put those leads within your database, and then 3 years from now, I'm going to repeat it. You go back into
That's
the database.
such a good point. I did the exact same thing where when I had a small manageable amount of contacts and people that I was talking to real estate about, like a handful of them, I was like, this seems redundant. Mm-hmm. Why do I need this thing when I can list off all 5 people I'm helping right now? But and I would write them on like a little visual board, which is still great. I still utilize it.
That's important.
I still do.
Yeah.
I still do. But what about the lease client that I helped 2 years ago? I'm not going to remember that. CRM does, and it tells me to follow up with them. Maybe their situation has changed, and now they're looking to buy, or they need another lease to get into.
Throw them in a monthly newsletter and it's
passively advertise.
Passively advertise.
That's such a good point.
Because when their cousin or brother are thinking about selling their house, they're still getting your newsletter, and you help them get a lease. So now they trust you. So now they're gonna pass over that trust to their brother or cousin or whoever. And
if you're like we were, and you're like, I only have so many clients that I'm working with right now, I don't care. Put them in your CRM, because what's gonna happen before you know it, you're gonna get to a point where the thought of putting all those contacts into your CRM is gonna seem overwhelming. Because you're going to then go...
So true.
Yeah, you're going to go, shit, now I've got to put 100 contacts in here?
It's like taxes.
Yeah, you're going to have to do it, so might as well keep up with it, the whole time.
Yeah.
Get started early, and you won't feel the burden of that task. That's the big thing. That's the lesson right there. That's why we're telling you this.
That's the tip of the week.
Yeah. Didn't even mean for it to be, but boom.
The tip of the week, guys. The importance of CRMs, and to think long term when it comes to CRMs.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So let's dive back into what listings can do right now to help progress their chances of being looked at. What's helping people stand out amongst the competition right now?
So a top few things that you need to focus on when selling your house is landscaping. When you first look at that house, you got to make sure it looks good from a curb appeal standpoint, right? Number 2,
trimmed grass, plants looking nice and orderly. You don't want a bunch of branches hanging down.
Yep.
You want it to look presentable and appealing to all the potential buyers that are going to lay eyes on it.
Agreed. And number 2 would be declutter as much as possible. When a buyer walks into a house, they don't want to see things all over the place. They want to see it open, right? They want to look at the house and imagine it as their own. So declutter as much as possible. Take wall photos down, family photos, religious stuff. I'm a Christian, but I don't want my buyers to go into a house and, it just be blasted with promotion, not promotion, but
there was a house that I walked into that had, I swear, like 80 crosses on one wall, and they were just like, like, what is this? Yeah. But you get one chance to make a first impression on a home. And so you want to put it in the best light that you can. And just like the story earlier, my clients went into this home first because they said, this is the one. And guess what? It wasn't, because those owners blew it on the presentation. Yeah. There's not a thing a listing agent can do about that unless they didn't walk through and be honest with their client. This looks like crap. This is not going to sell. I would suggest doing this, or like maybe they didn't clean it. I don't know the situation, but what I do know is that they got unconvinced that was the house for them because of the presentation.
Very quickly too. Okay, number 3 would be caulking, making sure all the windows look good, right? Because sometimes, like, if it's especially built in the 80s, 90s, that caulking can dry out and look real nasty. Clean as much as possible. Also, if you have the option of getting a new roof and your insurance will take care of it, and there's only $1,000, $2,000 deductible, get a new roof, because that's a $15,000 replacement that the new buyers are going to have to pay for, right? And so if it only costs you a couple grand, just get the new roof, and that's going to add so much value to a new listing.
Yeah, and your major appliances, like the outdoor AC unit is a big one. We looked at a few houses today. There was one from like 98. And I'm like, dang, that's kind of old. It's all rusted and everything. I'm like, you may have problems with this after you move in. But doing the little things, it's all about just going back to the basics. You are asking for a lot of money for your house. You need to present a product that's deems worthy of that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish it off. One thing I did want to ask you was, do you have any advice for agents that are struggling right now?
That's heavy. It's heavy because I understand it. Mm-hmm. We talked about how even as a what I would term successful agent, as in we've proven the concept that this is a career we can pursue, we still struggle daily with mentality. And I think that's the biggest struggle for me, is balancing my worries, my doubt, my insecurities about my abilities, or where my business is at versus where I want it to be, and coming and mastering a abundance mindset. I think that's a big one. You have 2 different mindsets that you can let control you: scarcity or abundance. And scarcity is, I'm worried about my well-being. I'm worried about my paycheck. I'm worried about my business. Abundance says, if I can help others because I'm going to have plenty and I can pour into others and make genuine relationships, help people to at a high caliber, then I think when you master that,
it will naturally come back.
Exactly. It's gonna put you at ease. Again, and I'm not trying to speak this from a weird place of like, I'm not looking for a clip. I'm not looking for any of that shit. I'm talking about things I actually struggle with. And whenever I shifted my mentality and when I actively choose an abundance mindset, things just happen. Mm-hmm. It's just a weird thing. I get my business in order. I take care of people. I make genuine connections. I make lasting connections. And that has helped me a lot to get through the struggle.
I think that the scarcity mindset, that energy this is going to sound weird, but it smells like people can smell it. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, what's wrong with this guy? And just coming from a, what can I get? Right. And we've talked about this so many times, where agents, they just think about themselves, and yeah, they may do good for 6 months, but 12 months, a year, 2 years, they're trying to figure out where their next business comes from. And then they come to me and say, John, where are you getting your business? And I'm saying, I'm just giving, I'm just doing things without expecting anything in return. And I agree, man.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that the people that I immediately think of who love their realtors, love that they care, love that they took care of them at a high level, and that they continue to be relevant in their lives beyond the transaction.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
I mean, both you and I have had friends that would normally use us as their agents, but they did have a really good relationship with their agent that took care of them and cared about them beyond just the transaction.
Yeah, I've lost listings to, I was really good friends with some people who moved out of state, and I respected the hell out of their decision to stick with the agent that took care of them above and beyond before I was even an agent.
Because that's what we would expect from our clients that we gave our all to.
Exactly.
That's the most respectful thing. Like, we respect the hell out of that for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Do you have anything else before we wrap up for this week's episode?
We love you guys. We love hearing reviews as well. So reach out to us on Instagram. I'm at John Michael Perez.
Jordan sells ATX.
And share the podcast. If you learned anything, if you liked anything from this podcast, please just share it with a friend. We're not asking for anything.
That's like the only ask that you'll ever hear from us, is that if you're finding value in this and you want to help us continue to do this, just share it with somebody. Share it with someone who's either thinking about getting into real estate, maybe they're struggling in real estate, maybe they just want to take it to the next level and get outside of the group think or the I don't even remember the term, but like when you can't think of original ideas because it's the same feedback that you're hearing all the time. Tune into this, share it with them. That's all we're doing.
And if you have more detailed questions, reach out to us. You have our Instagram accounts now.
Yeah, we'll answer it on here.
We'll answer it on the podcast, and it's going to be super fun. We love seeing all the growth that's happening. We're getting tons of subscribers, which is cool, and we're just super thankful and super grateful. So we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening, and it's good to be back, baby. We're back. I hated having that week off, but good to see you again. And
it was just 1 week.
Get it all. I know, right? But anyway, guys, go be great in your local markets. We know you can do it, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.